So hi and welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Justin Caffrey and I'm here to talk to you about the vagus nerve, how it impacts our performance and our well-being, and how you have the capacity to influence your autonomic nervous system. There is sovereignty in terms of how you live your life and the impact that you can have on how you feel. Today we're going to talk about performance. I want to discuss a specific scenario where I've actually worked with somebody in professional sport and looked at how their vagus nerve and their autonomic nervous system and their reduced vagal tone is impacting their performance on the field of sport. We did some work to change how that was working and the outcome was pretty fantastic. But also in relation to how that impacts you and all of us. It's not just professional sports people or elite executives in companies, it's performance levels for all of us. And my aim in this channel is to make sure that I can produce content that's able to be spread to as wide an audience as possible. Not just those who work with me on a one-to-one basis or work with me through their companies, but you, the individual, have the opportunity to make changes in your life to improve how you feel. So it's a pretty simple scenario. I was working with a professional sports person who was struggling to score. They had just dropped their performance by a millisecond. It was fractional. But the fraction meant that they were not able to commit to things that normally would have been second instinct for them in the past. We needed to understand why, and most importantly, we needed to get them back to their winning ways because it was impacting their team. For those of you who are used to my story, you will know that I struggled with PTSD after the death of my son 10 years ago. And most importantly, that PTSD started to impact my capacity, my behavior to be at my best, both in terms of my business life, but my personal life as well. So I went on a journey to discover how can I deal with that. And I now use methodologies that include the neuroscience and understanding the vagus nerve polyvagal theory, psychology and how we can impact what happens in the mind and then bring that into the biology of the body, and our overall well-being. So the other influencing factors that are involved. I wrap that around some ancient Eastern psychology. So Buddhist psychology in the mix with all of those key topics bring us to the point of being able to influence and get to the bottom of a reduced level of performance. And it can only be a fraction, but depending on what your discipline is, a fraction can be the difference between success and failure. So in this scenario, we were working with somebody who was struggling with their performance. And what I'm interested in is, why are you thinking when you're engaged in the field of play or when you're in work? Those of us who've worked in an environment where you've just felt like everything is going in your favor, you know you're on. Every time you touch something, it's like boom, 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 success, success, success. That's flow state. That's when the physiology of our body is working in perfect harmony with our mind. We're inside our prefrontal cortex. We're not getting caught in our limbic system. There's no fight and flight response going on. And we're just engaged in what we do. And if you have an indelible print, like a professional sports person, you've put in the 10,000 hours, your body knows how to do all the work. It's only when you think that you start to get in the way. And the first thing that we noticed with this particular professional sports person was that in the original point, they had a trauma in their family. So an issue happened in terms of the death of a parent that adversely impacted their mind when they were on the pitch. So they brought some stuff into their work environment, into their sport environment. And that in itself can be worked through and avoided if caught early. But the problem is when you then bring that into your work environment, it then impacts your performance. So you're fractionally off in terms of your own demands and needs and capacity to deliver when the time comes. The second layer of issue that comes from that was the attention that's brought onto this player because of the fact that they've now dropped their level. So the dropping of the level and the attention from the media brought a bigger downward spiral in terms of the anxiety, stress, and tension that was being felt. So now we have the original issue that's caused the problem. It's being compounded now by further pressures in the other environments surrounding the player. And again, now on the pitch, there are milliseconds in terms of their capacity to deliver. So as a coach and therapist, I look at what is happening here in terms of this performance. And I also relay it back to how I came to recover from my own issue with post-traumatic stress disorder. A trauma, no matter how small that trauma can be, it could be just an immediate blow up with somebody in your family, impacts your universal approach to life. And unless you deal with that trauma head on, you are going to get distracted. So for me, I had to deal with PTSD, which was the death of my son, and I needed to change the memory of seeing him dying as a traumatic memory that was just flashing into my mind and distracting me at the worst times it could possibly do it, to a regularized memory, just a memory that could pass through. So I can remember that my son, who was beautiful, was alive, and now he's dead. As difficult as all as that is to say, and probably even more difficult for you to hear, by changing the reality of that memory and the language that I use to describe the memory, most importantly, I'm not saying he's gone, he's passed, he's with somewhere, he's somewhere else, he's in a better place. I'm using very definitive language because I need the indelible print in my body to understand that this is in the past. It's not here now to interfere with me, it's gone. I still love him, but it's gone. And in the same way, when I work with people on a one-to-one basis, we are looking for the things that distract, the things that are pulling you off to one side, that are stopping you from being the most effective you can be. So rather than getting pulled from one side to the other, stay focused, be present, and deliver. And very simply, that required us to go and work on the memories with this player. We were just going to normalize those memories using a process that my own mentor, Dr. Pradeep Chadha, who created subjective motive brief therapy, came up with, called a wiper technique. We use this wiper technique to get inside the memory, to regularize it in nature of the brain, so that we move it and stop it triggering the limbic system, the fight and flight response, and just move it so that it's in the prefrontal cortex, the executive function. So they can still see the things that have gone wrong. We're not going to wipe them away, but we're going to change them so that our response to those negative issues are not heightened anymore. We see them, we recognize them, but we're not getting aggravated. And as we don't get aggravated, it's just another thing. And if it's just another thing, it means that when you move into the field of play, when you move into the office environment, when you're in your broader environment with friends and family, it's not roadblocking you and stopping you from being where you need to be. This is a really interesting technique. It works incredibly effectively, and I'm going to develop over time an opportunity to share the wiper technique with you on my YouTube channel. So stay tuned, hit the bell, and make sure you keep getting my videos each week, because the wiper technique is going to come up in a few weeks, and I'm going to develop a technique that allows you to ask questions online and work through some of the difficulties that you may be having right now.
Feeling overwhelmed and unsure why? Is your negative self-talk getting you down? Do you find that your mind is racing with a million thoughts and problems at one time? Well, I have an offer for you. Why not join my 21-day program to soothe negative self-talk, to ease anxiety, and to calm down your nervous system? Over the 21 days, I will explain the neuroscience of stress and anxiety each day, and you will also receive a new relaxation session, a video and audio that you can follow along on my app, building across the program of 21 days for stress reduction, an understanding of the vagus nerve, polyvagal theory, and how you can slow down, calm down, and feel better. Simply come over to my website, remotetribe.co.uk.
Most importantly, it worked. We got this player back into good shape, we got him back on the field of play, and we got him back to his performing level best. So remember, what we do not deal with will remain and haunt us. And my process and how I advocate my own recovery is through leaning into difficulty. A lot of cognitive behavioral therapy will teach you how to navigate or move around your difficulty. And that's helpful because it might help you this week or next week. But ultimately, if you want to free yourself from pain in your life, you need to get close to the pain. You need to get right in there, immerse yourself in it. And the more you get close to it, the more you can find the magic A, acceptance, accepting how things have been and allowing it to just pass through your body. We're taking, if you can imagine, this hard drive of a mind, when it has things that it doesn't really like, it locks it back there, so it's like a flashback. It's a negative memory. We want to refile that and take it out of that negative memory and put it into a relative recall memory. So we're taking the traumatic experience and we're moving it into the same memory that holds last week's great game or last summer's super holiday or whatever good memories, but just a recall memory that's not inhibitive and impacting performance. I hope this video has been helpful for you to think a little bit about how the vagus nerve, how polyvagal theory, and how the autonomic nervous system can directly impact your performance. If you're struggling with PTSD, anxiety, depression, or just generally you are not on your A game, you have lost that capacity to be in flow state, read some of the content on my website, check out more of my videos, or if you'd like to work with me, drop me an email. I work with people all over the world, so reach out, and if I've got time, we can check out how we can work together. But most importantly, the content that I share is about helping you realize that you have a capacity to heal. This is a non-pharmacological route. This is not drugs. This is about our own well-being, our capacity to heal. So please don't forget, like and subscribe, hit that bell. Check out my courses at remotetribe.co.uk, where you can work with me and a team where we build routine around the vagus nerve, polyvagal theory, and simple tactics on a daily basis over 21 days that can change the way that you feel about yourself. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here.